High classic film recap here. It is said that in the 1980s in Korea, American soldiers had absolute privileges. They could take any woman they wanted for their own benefit. But today, a young waitress injured one of them multiple times with a shattered glass bottle during a brutal assault. Enraged and humiliated, the soldier lunged at her with a knife, slashing wildly. Just as he was about to strike the fatal blow, the girl grabbed a jagged metal pipe first, swinging it with ferocious force to fend him off in a chaotic brawl that shattered tables and chairs. In the next second, the diner owner burst in. Seeing the carnage, instead of turning her over, he suddenly tackled the soldier from behind. After noticing the girl's scarred hand from the fight, he mysteriously gave her the nickname Silverblade. Years later, a sleazy thug not only shoved a pregnant woman to the ground but groped her while bystanders watched in horror. What he didn't know was that an elderly woman in the adjacent subway car had flipped open a hidden compartment in her book, revealing the man's photo. As the train screeched into the station, the old woman drew a concealed syringe, blended into the rushing crowd, and jabbed him with a lethal toxin amid the chaos, causing him to convulse violently before collapsing. The old woman calmly vanished with the throng. The thug's death had nothing to do with her, or so it seemed. That old woman was the same girl, Silverblade, now in her 60s. Despite her age, her reflexes were lightning fast. But a cocky new operative didn't show her respect. Even as she stormed into the headquarters, he taunted her relentlessly, leading to a tense standoff where he drew a gun. The camera pans, her dagger was already pressed against the operative's throat. Tried to enlist him, he arrogantly refused. But Boss Eclipse just smirked. Trying to take down a legend like Silverblade? That's pure delusion. That was a clear warning to Boss Eclipse. She had returned for a high-stakes mission. Eliminate a betrayer named Rogue Ox. Rogue Ox had botched a hit, staging it as a crash but leaving a survivor and getting caught on surveillance. In their world, getting exposed meant execution. Silverblade vowed to handle it personally. A heart-pounding pursuit ensued through rain-slicked streets, tires screeching, cars flipping in explosive crashes. A rival biker gang suddenly roared in, blocking her with a barrage of gunfire, perhaps aiding Rogue Ox's getaway. But she veered into the shadows, killed her headlights, and ambushed him in a narrow alley, ramming his motorcycle off the road in a fiery wreck. To confirm the kill, she checked his pulse. No heartbeat. But as she dragged the body, he sprang up like a demon, launching a savage attack. Rogue Ox exploited her old injury, a lingering scar from a past battle, twisting it to send waves of agony through her. He hurled her through a storefront window in a shower of glass, then pummeled her relentlessly. Even a brutal suplex nearly snapped her spine. He smashed her against a parked truck, but before he could end it, the new operative, who had mocked her before, appeared out of nowhere and drove a blade through Rogue Ox's back in a gory twist. This hotshot had a rogue streak. He'd wipe out targets solo, like the time he infiltrated a drug cartel hideout, taking down a dozen armed guards in a whirlwind of gunfire and hand-to-hand combat before executing the kingpin. That caught Boss Eclipse's eye. When questioned, he nearly bashed Eclipse's head with the improvised club. Even after learning Eclipse's role, he resisted joining. To prove his worth, he accepted a test: assassinate a corrupt tycoon and retrieve his emblematic necklace. He didn't just choke the man out. He severed the chain in a brutal melee, leaving the bodyguards in pools of blood, and delivered the necklace dripping with evidence. She bargained her exit to save the vet's family, but he laughed it off. He craved vengeance for his family. During the call, a delivery arrived with plants. Vengeful Horn sneezed violently. He was allergic to pollen. Silverblade connected the dots. The boy from years ago had the same allergy, raised by a caretaker who was Silverblade in disguise after offing his abusive dad. Now an adult assassin, the boy had become her nemesis. To lift the contract on the vet, Silverblade accepted a suicide run, dismantled the syndicate's heart. Vengeful Horn demanded to tag along as support. But she didn't sneak in, she charged the front gates in a spectacular assault, using a shattered shield as a weapon in a whirlwind of dodges and strikes, sparing lives where possible amid gunfire and explosions. She radioed Vengeful Horn, who hadn't been briefed by Eclipse. Fortunately, an eavesdropper alerted him, and he stormed in like a tornado, mowing down foes in a brutal rampage. He unearthed Silverblade from a collapsed bunker, his face etched with raw emotion, pulling her free like kin, not foe. Silverblade shoved him aside to evade a sniper's bullet, then countered with a lethal throw. He whisked her to safety. Later, they shared a tense meal, seemingly reconciled, but Silverblade slipped toxin into his drink. Stunned by the treachery, he gasped as she bundled him into a vehicle and floored it toward a cliff, leaping out at the last second as it plunged into the abyss in a fiery plunge. Back at HQ, it was showdown time against Boss Eclipse's empire. She ordered the Loyalists to torch it all. Weary of endless bloodshed and losing loved ones to vendettas, she yearned for retirement. But as she tried settling into quiet life with the vet's family, the sun was snatched again. Only one culprit, vengeful Horn, who had survived. Silverblade geared up with an arsenal and assaulted the fortress. Snipers riddled her decoy vehicle in a hail of bullets, but she was already inside, navigating booby-trapped halls in stealthy takedowns. Following the boy's sobs, she found a trap, a looped recording. The kid was in the adjacent tower. No time lost, she vaulted from a high window in a death-defying leap, crashing through glass onto the other side. For a woman in her 60s, an insane feat drained, she confronted vengeful Horn. He used the boy as a shield, disarming her in a vicious grapple. The kid was flung toward her, leaving Silverblade exposed, but Horn hesitated, eyes conflicted. Silverblade retaliated with rapid gunfire, but Horn booted the weapon away. As henchmen bickered, Horn ripped open a bag, the hostage safe inside. He anticipated her resilience. As he cut the final restraint, he smirked ruefully. He'd witnessed Silverblade's mercy to others. Why him alone condemned? They clashed anew in an epic brawl, fists, knives, improvised weapons smashing through walls. The boy scrambled to escape unharmed. Horn had never intended real damage, just a lure. His dad was a monster. His mom gone. Only Silverblade's feigned kindness as nanny had sustained him. That illusion fueled his survival. Now, seeing her battle-scarred yet defending the innocent, Horn faltered. He lunged, but aimed wide, at her arm, the one that once soothed him. Silverblade struck true at his vulnerability. Horn fell lifeless. Silverblade cradled him. "Why hide it?" she whispered. His dying breath, "Just let it end." Later, Silverblade discovered Horn's sketches. One inscribed, "The survivor will be you." He couldn't shatter his sole source of warmth. And that's the poignant close to his tormented arc. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to Classic Film Recap for more amazing,